So welcome to all the Hatha Yogis. It's nice to have the temple full. This time of the year we're a very small group, so it's nice to have people come into Satsang. And I was thinking how yoga brings us together, which is the whole idea of yoga, is to bring things together, union. And to think of that as how we, by bringing things together on the mat and off the mat, we can all reach out to something more in ourselves, and everyone benefits. And thinking of that power that brings us all together, that brings us to yoga in the first place. I remember starting those first Hatha classes and knowing that there was something more that happened in the class. There was something happening with my body, but there was something else. And part of it was that coming together of a group of people to do something very different than what I was doing, but there was also something else. And I'd been working with a stiff shoulder at one point. Coming to yoga, gradually it became more flexible. But I also realized in the process of that, I had become more flexible in my idea of what responsibility was and what I took on. And so there was this other connection all the time. I was always learning something about my body, which was that potential that it had to learn and be very truthful about what I was learning. And then there was this other part that took me to another deeper place. And I think of that in terms of how we have to start somewhere and how we're in this process of growing into light. And what does that mean? That what becomes lighter in our life? What becomes lighter in us? And what craves, desires that lightness in the world? And when we hear it, when we see that change of what's just been happening after the election in the States, where people were lifted by an idea of hope and change. And we have that potential to work with that ourselves in our community, in our larger community, and it just keeps expanding out. The more intensely we work with it, the more benefits we receive, but also the benefits really do circle out. Concentric circles just weaving their way out through and to other people. And I just find that the fascinating part about this part that never gives up, that never dies, that always has that spark to want to take us further, is not satisfied when we don't. And when we make the effort and there's quality, it just seems to intensify that desire, because we still know there's more, and there's more, and there's more. And we see it in each other and ourselves as we grow. There's no denying it. Sometimes you can't see it yourself. Sometimes you feel like you're stuck. But even the stuck parts are there for learning, because we have to learn all of it. And the body's a wonderful tool. And I think of the times that I was with Swami Radha and she was teaching. She'd come to my house and I was doing Hatha Yoga, and then she said, you should do the light, the divine light invocation, and then do the pose. You should do the light and then do the pose. And I started to do that. And what started to happen was the voices of other people started to fall away. And this other voice that seemed to know my body very well and me started to speak about it. Another time with her, she mentioned to do the chanting as you become more focused and relaxed in the pose. Because she said there's two parts to the pose. There's the tension and the relaxation. So you go as far as you can. You don't want to go into pain because that isn't yoga. But you have the tension and then you relax in the pose. So the pose becomes the strength. And then the mantra comes in and starts opening you up. So if you've ever taken the mantra into a pose, you can feel it doing its work. And then there's another time when she wanted us to know that it was symbolic and that there were secrets there hidden in our bodies, and that there was mythologies, stories. And we were out at many mansions, and she was teaching us, and she was in her nice outfit and her high heels, and we were in our yoga clothes. And she said that we should stand outside in groups of 2 or 3 and do the mountain pose. Of course, we were facing the mountain right across. And she said to bring in the qualities of the mountain. And, well, I'd been doing the mountain for quite a long time. I knew how to do it, to place myself in the mountain. But then when I looked at that mountain across the lake, and I brought those qualities of mountain in, something changed. It took on the form of the majesty I saw and the strength and what it held there inside it and on it. And it became part of the qualities of me. And that seemed very mystical to me. And so that's whatever yoga we're doing has that potential to bring the mystical in. We're dealing with ourselves all the time, caring for ourselves and respecting our bodies, respecting our minds. They're always connected through speech, through our actions, and through that part in ourselves that wants us to evolve. So we're together. We keep learning. Namaste.